Hello, everyone out there in internet land. My name is Paul, and this month for April, our band spotlight is Laura Lea and Tripp Fabulous, who will be performing at Sloppy Joe's May 1st through May 7th during the Songwriters Festival. So please welcome Laura Lea.
Hi, Paul.
How are you doing, darling?
Good, better than good. I'm excited to come down. I'm counting the days.
We are excited to have you. You look lovely.
Thank
So
you.
let's tell all of our viewers at home, because we want to give them the whole Key West experience. And since this is a new thing for us, how did Laura Lea and Tripp Fabulous originate?
So interesting story. I'm just kidding. April Fools is not an interesting story. I wanted to put a band together. So I held auditions and I hired the guys that I thought that were best. Honestly, that's really it. It kind of fell in my lap because I was doing like solo acoustic stuff, and I people just kept saying you should have a band, you should have a band, you should have a band. So that's what I did.
That's so cool. Now, how long have you guys actually all been together?
So the group of us now, well, actually, we've only been together since St. Patty's Day, 2024, because we just got a new keyboard player. And you might know her. Her name is Deej, and she's from the Juliana Brothers.
We know Deej. We love that. We heard that rumor, but we didn't want to jinx it. So is she coming down in May?
Yes, she is. It's very true. We are teaming up, and it's going to be girl power to the max. I can't wait. Awesome. Yeah.
I'm really excited about that because you guys already do so many different styles of music, and you can do anything. And anyone who's not seen them, seriously, they can do any genre. This girl is amazing. But amazing. So how long have you technically been leading Laura Lea and Tripp Fabulous then?
I started the band in December 2000. I'm sorry, yeah, 2002. Sorry.
There's gonna be a test, everyone. There's gonna be a test.
Yeah, right. It was November or December I started putting the band together, and then we played our first show on 01, 02, 03. So January 2nd, 2003.
Wow.
At Finnegan's Wake in Philadelphia, which is no longer, it's like a shopping center now or something. It's not a bar anymore.
Who inspired your love of music?
My mother, well, she played guitar in church when we were kids, and she always had a guitar lying around, so I would grab it and mess around with it and just taught myself to play. And yeah, I don't know. And my sister was always the one that sang. I played piano, and my sister was the singer. And then she moved to New York to go to to be in showbiz. And so then I was by myself with my mom and my other sister, who refused to do anything musical at all. So then I just took up the singing thing because there was a lack of it. My mom was like, girl, you wow, you can sing. And that wasn't until I was in probably high school, maybe freshman year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Then I won the talent show that year.
That's really cool. So growing up, so what artists did you emulate when you were growing up? Like who was your go-to that you would be like, that's who I want to be like?
Oh my gosh. George Michael. Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. Wham, George Michael, my idol. I loved this. I loved Madonna, of course. And I love the Cars. I really liked the Cars and Creedence Clearwater Revival. I know it's very, it's all over the place.
Well, it's good.
Yeah, that's true. And then as I got older, I got into Tori Amos and Chris Cornell, a huge Chris Cornell fan. He influenced a lot. He influenced my writing style even. So yeah, it's a weird bunch. If you put them all in a room together, it would be a really weird party.
So would you say that any of your musical aspirations have changed as you've been in this business?
Yeah, I'd say so. So I was really I wrote a lot of songs. I sold some of them to movie companies and stuff like that. And I have a record on, iTunes, Pandora, all that stuff, Spotify. But I was really into the original scene for a good while there. And then I had my child. So I started, I kind of got more, I was always heavily in the cover band scene. Always. The cover band was always my day job. That's how I made money. That's how I supported myself and my kid. So that was always there. But I did used to do my off nights. I used to go up to New York on Bleecker Street. I would go to Bitter End. I would play like those little original shows. We took charter buses up, and everybody came from Philly came up with that. It was great. It was a really fun time. But honestly, when I had my kid, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to be. We started cover band started staying, as you know, East Coast.
Right.
Especially when my kid got into school age.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't. My it's corny, but all I wanted to be was a mom after that.
Wait, so when was your last original project with music?
I wrote a song yesterday, like literally.
You're
Yeah.
constantly writing then.
Yeah, I wrote a song yesterday, and I'm just gonna show it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I write all the time. The last time I recorded anything though was a number of years ago. When I was selling one of my songs called "This Is Mine" to a movie company. There's my new song I wrote.
Oh my God, that's amazing though.
It's my little psychotic rating of scales book.
Yeah, but you know how to write music. You don't. Do you play by ear, or do you actually know how to play by both?
Both. Yeah, both. I started out playing by ear, and as to be honest with you, Paul, I learned to read music, and I learned to play drums and bass, guitar, because I was the only girl when we came to the industry. I was the only girl, and I was leading a band,
Right.
and I wanted to be taken seriously. I wanted these boys to know that I knew what I was talking about. I wanted them, sometimes you're just the singer, and it's like they don't. You got to either know as much as they do or more than them for them to respect you. Like, I guess that's true for anyone, but like particularly in this industry, it was a little bit rough because back then, this is 2000, 1, 2, 3. There weren't very many females like fronting in the cover scene. Now every band's got a female, which is amazing. I love that. And more girls on stage.
Like, what's the challenges of you being a female band leader? Because it is very rare.
Well, I used to use this phrase all the time. It's like running a kindergarten. But during the pandemic, when my career was obliterated, I took a job teaching at a grammar school, and I taught music pre-K to 8th grade. For those couple was like 2.5 years or something while everything was shut down. And now I say it's way harder than running a kindergarten, to be honest. It's way harder than running a kindergarten. Yeah, so I got to get rid of that phrase. No, it's just it's a lot of. So listen, none of us do this for a living because we're emotionally healthy, right? Like we don't choose this career path because we're okay in here. So you're dealing with a lot of really strong personalities, really eclectic. I don't want to say neuroses, but
unique individuals.
Yeah, you go. I was gonna say eclectic preferences.
Okay.
And just in terms of like how they like things done, how they learn songs, how they like them to be presented to them, stuff like that. So it's a lot of moving parts, like juggling, a lot of moving parts.
So have you
Scheduling a rehearsal is because with 5 people coming from all over, my guys are an hour to an hour and a half out. Some of them are 10 minutes away. We're from around all over to here.
Right.
So just to get a schedule, it's especially me. I'm a single mom. I'm just here by myself with my kids. So it's like, gotta juggle.
So how old is your child now?
AJ just turned 13 in February.
13, teenager.
Yeah, and it's been every minute. It's been every bit of being a teenager. Every minute since February.
Does it remind you of you?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is my payback. This is karma. So yeah, my child is basically exactly like me. And I call my mother on the daily and apologize to her. Heartfelt apology to my mother pretty much on the daily. Like, Mom, okay, what do I do about this? Also, I know I did this to you. I'm so sorry.
The older you get, right, you realize it's like, oh my God, I don't know everything. They were right.
My poor parents, I put them through like ridiculousness. So I see that now.
Well, it sounds like now was your mom supportive of you going into the industry?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. When I graduated high school and I decided I was going to go to like a trade school to learn like computerized accounting or something, not like a real college, like a trade school. My dad was like, what do you mean no, 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 you're not going to go to school. You got to get in a band."
So they
So
recognized your talent at least.
yeah, they were very, very supportive. My father still they both still are to this day. My mom doesn't come to as many shows now because she's usually babysitting. But as AJ gets older, my mom doesn't really have to stay with her that much anymore. So my mom's been venturing out a little bit lately, but it's been about 13 years since she's been able to come to like a real like nighttime show, you know?
And your child was down with you, I think, last time you were here.
Yeah, my parent two times ago. Yeah, two times ago. They come down depending on how many times we get down there. Like this year we're down there 3 times. So
Mhm.
they'll probably come in October when we're coming back.
Oh, wow.
But they come down like every third time, you know. If we're only going to be there once or twice, they'll come down both times. Like, you know, it depends on how much I'll be there. But they love it there. My dad like longs to live there. Longs to live there.
No, your dad, is he musical at all too or not?
No, not even a little bit. He can't even I mean, he couldn't hold a note if it had a handle on it and a backpack and snaps and belt. So he just no, he doesn't play any instruments. My grandfather, his dad,
Uh-huh.
was a radio DJ.
Oh,
So my
okay.
dad was heavily influenced like by music in general, listening to music. He's the one that introduced me to the Rolling Stones, the Cars, Huey Lewis and the News, all these, you know, Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, you know, all these Yardbirds and all these bands that he used to listen to. That's how I became interested in because he was just playing them on repeat all the time, you know. So my dad was really, really into music, listening to it.
So how many instruments do you actually play?
Let's see. Well, are we going to say actually can play well or can play? Because
Well, we'll say that you could do a tune on. How about that?
okay, so let's see. Guitar, piano. I'm going to count bass guitar as a second instrument just because it's so vastly different than a regular guitar. It's not even
Oh, it is.
structured.
Yep.
I play drums. I play ukulele. I play violin. I play. I think probably that's probably it. Hand drums, recorder. You know, little stupid.
Violin though. Vi-
Yeah, but I'm terrible. But I mean, I can play it.
so
Um,
how did you like learn how to play that? Was that like a school thing or?
my youngest sister took up violin, and I wanted violin in one of my songs, and I asked her to brush up on it so she could play, and then have you learned it yet? Have you done it? Months and months and months go by. She's like, listen, she came over. Gives me her violin. She's like, I'm never going to learn it. Like, why don't you, you know? So I said, okay. So I went on, like, got all these YouTube stuff and looked it up. And this was before there was like a whole lot of stuff on YouTube. This is probably like maybe 15, 16 years ago. I don't
Oh,
even know if YouTube was around, but I looked up videos, you know?
right.
And I was immediately discouraged completely because I was like, wow, I'm not going to be able to do that. But, you know, I figured it out and it's shoddy at best, but I can play it.
Do you remember the first time you played a sloppy joes? What it was like?
Are you kidding? I will never forget it. Okay. So my agent told me that we were getting booked in Key West. And I was like, cool. I had been down there several times, just acoustic at some of the bars around. And I never played sloppy joes, but I had been in there and I had gotten up on stage with friends of mine that were musicians. And I was like, wow, man, it would be so amazing to play here. And then my agent goes, guess what? You're going to sloppy joes. I was like, well, he said, you're going to Key West. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And he's like, the whole band's going. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay, cool. Let's do that. That'll be fun. I'm like, where are we playing? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what bar? He's like, sloppy joes. And I was like, oh, what? Like he just said it so nonchalantly, like it was a given. Like, of course you're playing sloppy joes. I'm the best agent in the world. And I was like, so we got down there. We were so excited. We had so much fun. I think it might have been the first night or the second night. It was very early in the week. I was singing Santeria and it was full. The place was so packed and the whole crowd was singing it. And I'm looking around singing, la, la, la. All of a sudden I'm like panning and I recognize somebody. I'm like, oh, it was my mom and dad. My parents came, they surprised me. I had no idea. This was before I had my child. So my mom and dad like didn't have anything tying them up here now. So they came and it was like it was just amazing. And then we just hung out all week. It was so fun. We did all kinds of, we had jet skiing and snorkeling. We went on a boat and did, I saw barracuda.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like
That's
that. And I was like, dude, I think we should get out of the water.
so. What would you say is unique to performing at Sloppy Joe's compared to other venues?
Um, Compared to other venues. Okay.
A lot
Well,
of great venues out there, but I mean, obviously they're all different in their way. So,
yeah.
coming down after 20 years, you're still coming down.
Yeah, because you can meet people from like everywhere. Everyone goes to Key West at some point in their life. It's a bucket list thing, you know?
Right.
So I've met people from all over the place. Now I can't even say all over the country because all over the world. Like people just, and I've maintained friendships with some of those people. And then when I'm going down, I have my list of people that I have to specifically text or message them, because otherwise they'll go, you were Key West, you didn't tell me. I have my list of people, like a couple months out, I'll go, hey, we're going to be in Key West, just letting you know. And, most of the time, I mean, obviously not all of them show up every time. That would be weird. But that would mean I did something with my life. Just kidding. So, but yeah, no, I'd say 10 times out of 10, at least one of those groups of people comes down when I
You have more than one. You always have people that come down.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, the people that I specifically like say, hey, we're at Sloppy Joe's, are you coming? Like that,
It's crazy, just the talent and the amount of camaraderie it seems like our music scene has, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We all get on stage with one another. I mean, that's how I ended up at Sloppy Joe's. I think it was Rick Fusco, maybe.
Yep.
Just let me hop up there.
He's still here.
Yeah, I know. And he let me hop up there. And next thing you know, I got a gig at Sloppy Joe's with my full band. I was okay.
Where can everyone find your original music
at? So you could search my name. It's a little complicated, but if you figure out how to spell it, you can find it. But it's on, iTunes, Spotify, all those streaming, all those guys.
So Laura Lea?
Yeah, so Laura Lea and my last name, which is Tarakis.
Tarakis.
But here's an easy way to remember it.
Okay.
My dad always made like his dad joke. I should have gone into paving because tar, ask us. And I'm like, cool joke, Dad. But that's how you spell my last name.
Do you have anything fun going on? Like any fun projects outside of, as we know you as Laura Lea and Tripp Fabulous? Or are you just super excited about Deej coming into the group and bringing in more female power?
That too. I'm working on a duo show with Deej and me together. And I have a couple iterations of our duo show. I break off with, one with Baba or with Christian. But now I'm going to be breaking off with Deej. So we're working on that together. And I also do a lot of studio work. I get to just via word of mouth. People hire me to come in and sing their wonderful songs. People, I'm just kidding. Some of them are really, really, really good. And then, if it's stuck in my head when I get home, then I know that's a little bit unfair. It's because when you're doing session work, you have to sing the same line like 30 times. So It's like, no matter how good the song is, you're like, if I ever hear the song again. Yeah. So, but no, I do session work. I do rhythm guitar session work and piano session work and vocal, mostly vocal.
Do you have any most embarrassing moments on stage that you can share with us? That's like PG, sloppy style.
Okay. Yeah, my kid is reminding me that I ripped my pants one time. I just went down to get something. I think I dropped my capo and I stood back up and I was like, oh. So luckily I wear giant clothes, so my shirt covered everything. But yeah, and then right after I had my kid, I was very, very, very late. My delivery was very late, like almost 2 weeks. So I really didn't get enough time off because I thought this is when I'm going to have the baby. I'll schedule shows for this time. And then the baby came 2 weeks late. So then I only had 2 weeks to recoup. So I'm on stage 2 weeks later. And since you're saying PG, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but like lots of weird stuff happened while I was on stage right after I had my baby. So I'm glad those days are over.
You went back to work 2 weeks after.
It was a little, maybe 3. It wasn't a month. It was not a month.
Did your musical style or how you approach performing change when you became a mom?
Oh, that's a good question, Paul. I don't know. I do know that I probably, yeah, you know why? Because I calmed down a lot. I didn't, drink as much because I had a kid to come home to. And fortunately, being a single mom, I was able to be a stay-at-home mom because I work days.
Right.
And I was gone while my kid was asleep. Um, so, and my mom would come here and just hang out until I got home. My mother at the time was a paramedic, so she had crazy hours. So I would get home at 2, 3 a.m. and she'd be like, "All right, I'm going to work." She put her like ambulance costume on. You
No, it's like Kismet.
Yeah, so it worked. It really worked. I never would have been able to do it without my mom because I wouldn't have been comfortable leaving my kid with anyone but her.
No.
So I wouldn't have. I would have chose some. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'd be making shoelaces in a factory or something. I wouldn't be doing this because I wouldn't have been able to keep. Because I don't
Right.
want to leave. I didn't want to leave my kid alone with anyone. But most of the time, honestly, most of the time, I was here with my kid because the like I said, I was working when they were sleeping. So
What's the most rewarding thing that gets you up on stage every night to sing to people? Like what makes you tick to get up there?
funny thing about having kids is that you have to feed them actual food. So my grocery bill is what keeps me getting on stage every night. No, I'm kidding. I I don't honestly. It's all I know. Okay, so it's you can leave this in or leave it out, whatever you want. But I'm autistic,
Yeah.
so um, I I like say me things. I have my routine, but it's really all I know. So when the pandemic hit and there were no shows,
Hmm.
I got on my phone and went live. I also explicitly made sure no tipping. I didn't provide a link. Do not tip me. If you find anything online, I will send it back to you. Like I did not want people to, because no one was working.
Right.
But I went online. The reason I said that is because everyone went online, and I'm not special. But I went online and I was playing like 6-hour shows in my house, like with
'Cause
my
what you
kid
do.
running around behind me and my cats and dogs. Like, can we have food? Like, what are you doing? You know. But no, I have to. I don't know anything else. If I'm sitting, I always joke when I'm on stage. People, oh, this is a great show. I'm having a lot of fun. I said, listen, they say, oh, can you play this song? Oh, I know it's a dumb song. I said, there's no dumb song. Whatever you want to hear, because I would be at home doing this in front of my cats. So the fact that I'm here in front of you and somebody's paying me to be here, I'll do whatever you want. Like I'm here for you, dude. So yeah, I don't know. It's really all I know, Paul.
That
I'm
emulates
not good at anything else.
the joy, but it obviously brings you joy. And
Still, yeah, I'm so
wait,
fortunate for that. I was
so
diagnosed at 44.
at 44, late
Yeah.
lifer,
Yeah, I had a really hard childhood and my poor parents had no idea that I had like special needs.
what is that?
So,
What is that like being diagnosed at that period in your life?
well, the reason I ended up getting diagnosed was because I was concerned for my own children at the time. I had a stepson. And the more I read about it, the more I was like, hmm. So I went in and had an evaluation, and they said, yeah, you have ADHD and you're on the spectrum, and and I had been struggling with like OCD and stuff like that, but it's like turns out it's not OCD, it's just a symptom of autism. And so, but what I will say is, I went into like a program where they had group therapy, and I was only supposed to go for like 2 weeks or something,
Uh-huh.
and 1 year and 4 months later, I had my last group session. I graduated from the program on March 15th, and I learned so much doing that. And I've like, because that's a big deal when someone tells you you have something that is supposed to have impaired you your whole life. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm impaired. And then you get angry because you're like, wait a minute, it's not this hard for everyone else. Like,
So once you found out your diagnosis, I mean, obviously you don't. You're like, I'm not going to be a poster child for it. I don't let it hold me back. Did
right.
Was there any sigh of relief, kind of like knowing, like, oh, I'm not crazy?
Yeah, it was so weird because on the one hand, I was like, this is so unfair. It's not been this difficult for everyone else. Like, why me? You know? And I was like, this is so messed up. And that's why this happened. And that's why happened. And that's why this. And as I was going through that, like the poor me thing, I was like, oh, that's why this happened. Oh, that's why this happened. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So now, and so after I mentioned that group that I was in, whew, I learned so many coping skills and so many ways to deal with like it was amazing. It was life-changing, and I'm happier now. I was, like, being treated for depression and all this stuff, and I wasn't depressed. I was just burnt out. I didn't you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not medicated, but I'm clearly not depressed. You know what I mean? Like, it just, like
So during the pandemic, hold on, you would do live streams for 6 hours.
one time it went 6 hours, but they would generally go anywhere from, like, 3 to 4.5 hours, and one time I just
You would say, "Don't tip me."
Yeah, well, because so like I said, everyone wasn't working, and a lot of the people that were watching me were other musicians that were in the same predicament than I was in.
Right.
Um, and the reason I went to 6 hours that one time was because I kept saying, okay, if I go under this number of followers, then I'll stop. Because I do all requests. I do all requests.
Right.
So I was taking requests and I had requests backed up and backed up and backed up. And I was like 10 requests behind and I just couldn't stop. And then they kept coming. And I'm like, okay. It was like, remember, it was like 2 in the morning. What baby? Oh, yeah. It was like 2 in the morning, and like I'm like, I need to go because I have to put my kid to bed. Like my kid was behind me,
But then you
like
felt bad because, like, all these people had tuned into you, and you're like, "I'm trying to give you everything I can give, but I'm not
exactly.
anymore."
Also, selfishly, like I love to feel needed. I love to feel like people are like, oh, please play this. I miss seeing you live. I can't come see you live. I love when you do this one song. Can you play? Especially when they're asking for like originals by name,
Uh-huh.
which is funny because I forgot the words to some of them, and then like they would have to type the words to me how my own song started because I forgot. It's been a long career. I've had drunk a lot of scotch.
Well, how many originals have you done actually? Like, would you say?
Um, I've written I don't know. That's a good question. I rotate different ones. So though like at any given time I'm rotating like 10, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't stick. There's songs that I haven't played in 15 years, that I just got tired of playing. Um and then like this new song that I just wrote last night, I'll put that in my set on Thursday. I practice them live and then I'll rework them. I'll take them home and be like, that did not sound great. So I'll fix it. And it's never the same. Um to be honest with you, once an original becomes the same,
Mhm.
like for a couple months, then I stop playing it and bring out a new one. You know what I mean?
What genre do you write in, or do you write in multiple genres? Like,
Yeah, multiple.
really?
That cover of Danzig was very much in the style of like a Tori Amos type song.
Okay.
Um, but I just wrote a song called "Let Her Go," which is a country song. Um, and yeah, I have some songs that are kind of like Paramore-ish, and then I've got other ones that are more like Jewel.
You're all
So
over the map.
I go all over the place. Yeah.
Do you hear
My
it in your head? When you get that idea, do you automatically go to like, oh, this works with this, and it just goes that way, or is it more organic?
That's a good question. So I always write lyrics first.
Hmm.
Lyrics first, and then I just walk around saying them.
Originally, with your music,
Yeah.
when
I
you get
wa-
the idea, so you start with lyrics, obviously,
yeah.
then you could like, what's your process?
I always start with lyrics. I write them down or I put them in my notes in my phone, and then I just walk around saying them to myself all day. And
Uh-huh.
then they sort of kind of morph into like a like for example, if you go shave and a haircut 2 bits, like in your brain, you go shave and a haircut 2 bits, you know what I mean? Like that. But that's what it turns into. So once those words turn into that for me,
Right,
not shave and a haircut 2 bits or hot cross buns or anything like that. Once those words become a melody in my brain,
right,
then I write the music around it. But when I'm saying the words in that I wrote, I can hear if it's going to be piano or guitar or like little ukulele, the little cute song. I have my vision for it, but sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I write it and then I write it on piano and I play it on piano and I'm like, then I'll go on like on a show and I'll just have my acoustic guitar and I'll just be like, oh, well, let me just play it so I can work it out right now. And I'm like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. This is a guitar song. This is a guitar song,
Oh,
you know?
wow.
So yeah, and vice versa. That happens the other way around too. So
You're coming down. So when you come down, what can everyone expect from you?
oh well, as you know, if it gets a little personal on, with us in the crowd, we love taking requests. We will take requests. Anything you want. But I've got we're gonna do we do the Killers, we do some Paramore stuff, Blink 182, of course, Nirvana, Tom Petty, Dolly Parton.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yes.
gotta give it a little
Taking
bit.
Back Sunday. There's like so many. Sublime. Heart. Oh, we can do Heart now that we got Deej because I can't
Ooh,
hit those notes. I could, but like we have to lower it like a whole step. So, but so the same thing. I call you again today. It's not.
you
It's
can
a,
do it in that register. It's crazy.
you sure can. It blows my mind. This is funny. I've only done 2 shows with her, like live shows with her so far. I'm telling you, when she hits some of these notes, I get chills, and then I play the wrong chord because I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, oh, I said this. She did just hit that.
She
I
did.
haven't been able to hit that since 1997. So yeah, she's incredible. She blows my mind. Really, really. I'm so proud to have her. I'm so proud to have.
Do you want to take us out with a song? You don't have to, by no means. But do you want to take
Sure.
us out with like an original?
Ooh, okay.
With that, thank you for your time.
Thank
You for
you.
this favors every week. Cannot wait to see you once again. Laura Lea and Tripp Fabulous, May 1st through May 7th. Once again, say goodbye, Miss Laura Lea.
Bye, Paul. Thank you. Bye, Key
Mwah.
West. See
We
you in
adore
a couple
you.
weeks.
We'll see you soon.
This one's called Let Her Go. Bitter cold, icy road. It's a long way till you're far enough from home, but you don't mind it now. You will just write it out, but your heart's buried too deep for me to find it now. But I would have loved you, wanted to love you. And I don't want to lose you, no. But my hope falls and fades just like snow. Yeah, I know I could have saved you from the pain that you know you wouldn't. Just let her go. The hourglass is on its side. Every grain will stand still. Tell you pain, it won't wait for you. But everyone knows damn well it will. I would have loved you, wanted to love you. And I don't want to lose you, no. But my hope falls and fades just like snow. Yeah, I know I could have saved you from the pain that you know you wouldn't. Just let her go. Here I stand with my heart in my hand. The pain that she caused was enough to blind you. But how can I help you out of this hurt if I climb down on in right behind you? Freezing cold as I go. I see what keeps me from looking behind me. She broke your heart because you let her. If you ever can forget her, come and find me, 'cause I don't wanna lose you, no. But my hope falls and fades just like snow. Yeah, I know I could save you from the pain that you know you wouldn't. No, you couldn't. Just let her go. Just let her go. Just let her go. Let her go. That's the country one. Thank you so much.